Okay, this is another episode of what we call the Consigliere. It's an ongoing character here with the cosmic characters at Bobby Burrows. So the Consigliere is a channeling of an enlightened, high vibrational version of Al Pacino. So this version of Al Pacino as the consigliere, let's go do a muscle test to see where he's at. So the version that's been coming through that we call the consigliere, we have permission to contact his Akashic record and ask for permission. We have permission. Okay, we're going to check this guy's calibrated level of consciousness on the scale of human consciousness as propagated by the Freemason David R. Hawkins. Okay, let's go with he's over 200. Absolutely. Okay, that's correct. He's over 500, 510, 520, 530, 540. He's over 540, over 600. 600. Peace. So this version that comes through me is doesn't mean that he's not warlike, but it means that rather than being at a low level of consciousness like Tony Soprano would be at 150 on the scale of human consciousness, Satan. So moving from Satan up to 600 peace, we have the consigliere who works for John Gotti or Tony Soprano if he hires him. The consigliere position is a staff position. Well, it was in the original Godfather movies. Okay, so you can review the Godfather movies and watch for the guy who's the consigliere. That's Italian for the counselor, the one who counsels John Gotti, who counsels Tony Soprano, who would counsel Gus Fring. But famous Chicago mobster Al Capone, the consigliere would be Al Capone's in-house shyster lawyer. He could be. Yes, could be. Doesn't have to be a lawyer. It seems to be a lawyer. You know, in all those cop shows like, I don't know, Hill Street Blues, they would bring in a shyster lawyer on behalf of the criminal street mob. But if you were a much higher level organization, I don't know, because you're going to be looking at it more like Gus Fring, where you've got illegal businesses and legal businesses. And Gus Fring has built a firewall between those two sides of business that he manages. But that's his problem, is because he still has a foot in cold water. Keeping up with this violence is very stressful on Tony Soprano. He has to go and see a shrink. And he's not getting relief from her because she's like, the elephant in the room is, Tony, you need to change, honey bunch. Because, you know, inside you're squirming because your heart is like, every time you shoot somebody, it's just your heart is taking a heart attack. And, you know, after, you know, the Sopranos were declared no more episodes, they told us the reason why is James Gandolfini, Tony Soprano, had a major coronary heart attack and he died. So, okay, the Mad Magazine Consigliere Hour, and okay, I'm just gonna relax here, see if the consigliere wants to come through or anybody else is gonna come through for this video. for the purposes of illustrating anything that we need to know, specifically today, in this now moment, for our education, entertainment, and contemplation in our meditation on higher consciousness, given the fact that when Wayne Gretzky won the Best Player Award, the Conn Smythe Trophy in the NHL, we muscle tested Wayne when he was on the ice in the Stanley Cup playoffs in 900 on the scale of human consciousness. So if Tony Soprano's hanging around 150, low vibe tribe, he's not in flow. Wayne Gretzky is in a state of flow when he's dipsy doodling around number 99 and they won the Stanley Cup. So a real winner is on the upper end of the scale of human consciousness. Tony Soprano's version of being a winner is him ending up dying of a massive heart attack because in order to kill, it was just like the gunslinger in the Dark Tower movies. You kill with your heart. Well, how do you do that? Well, if you're the gunslinger, he lasted a long time. He was having some health problems, though, and he had to go and see the snake lady to get some cat medicine to loosen him up and limber him up. But, he did seem to be suffering from some kind of a thing. Is it because he was killing for a living? Or what if you were a justified killer, like Hector from the TV show Longmire on Netflix? Lou Diamond Phillips was the second Hector. The first Hector, as far as we know, was killed off because Hector stood alone against evil. But the people couldn't get help from the tribal police because the tribal police were corrupt. And there was some absolutely horrific people who were on the loose. And so some guy became known as Hector, the secret guy, who was the V for Vendetta guy in V for Vendetta, V. Anyway, Lou Diamond Phillips saw on the wall, people wrote on the wall, the painter leave messages on the wall for Hector. This is a huge problem for me. All kinds of people would put it up there. Hector, this is a big problem. So Lou Diamond Phillips' character saw and knew from the sheriff in the neighboring, outside the reserve area, Longmire, Sheriff Longmire, anyway, because intelligence letting each other know what's going on. Anyways, the original Hector was reportedly shot dead. And the unbelievably courageous hero, Lou Diamond Phillips' character, saw a need in his community for people to play Hector. And it seemed to be just one guy, a one-man army, but really the whole community should have looked at that wall and said, together, we are Hector, and stood their ground and spoke their truth and pointed out evil. In Ho'oponopono, traditional Hawaiian Ho'oponopono, from the indigenous people there, is people speaking their truth, the unvarnished truth about what's going on with them in front of the village, and talking 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 until they feel they've got no more words and no more words are coming, and they've spoken their piece. And are they finished, or do they think there's more words? Because if there's more words, in traditional Hawaiian Ponopono, you stay until every member of the community has spoken and spoken and spoken and spoken, until the words are, when you're done, you say, I am Pau, P-A-U. I am Pau, in other words, I've spoken my piece. That's it. And then you pass the conch to the next person, and they do the same thing. until they say, I am Pao. And if you're somebody who doesn't have any issues and they got nothing to say, then you would just say, oh, I'm Pao, I got nothing. Pass it on to the next person. And then what if later on this person who didn't have anything to say later on is good? Okay, now I got something to say because I didn't know about all this stuff. Now I got other stuff. Because it's like, but you got to let people speak. And that could take an awful long time for 8 billion souls on planet Earth to speak their piece to the point where they can say, I am Pao. So I'm not at the point where I can say that right now because I'm still talking. But I'm not stopping anybody else from talking either. Because the thought that one person can stop the world of 8 billion people because they want to give you blah 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 and the low vibe 150 or 190 Lucifer vibe on the scale of human consciousness is unconscionable to sentient beings. Am I Hector? No. 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 Why not? I see Glenn Jennings, music teacher at Westmount High School. But am I the consigliere? Yeah, for the purposes of this video, yeah, I'll be the consigliere. Because if you're Tony Soprano and you're looking at Bobby Burrows and you say, I'm gonna say, I'm the consigliere. Maybe you'll call me your trusted advisor, but you're gonna wink and you say, I trust nobody. But you might say, all the same, I still gotta have a sounding board because as Mr. Narcissist, I still understand that in my internal workings of my narcissism, I've got more than one of me who plays the various hats that you learn in MBA school. You know, you got the red hat and the yellow hat and the green hat, and especially important as always, everybody wants to wear the black hat, like Mr. Negative or something. And sometimes Mr. Negative's got to step outside because we're going to have a brainwashing simulation where we're all going to, we're not going to have any negativity. Instead, we're going to go into dark council where it's 100% negativity, and you are the light among the devils because I am Bobby Burrows. And I'm used to being with Brent Beeson and Rumpelstiltskin and King Clancy and Eve the Rat and various other Lady Notochord, so-called cosmic characters, you know, but the ones that bedevil me this way. Anyway, so we've been talking about Saint George, who was the famous Englishman who took a sword and killed the dragon. And I don't know, they were talking about jihad, and jihad, it was commonly told us to us by mainstream news to be a crazy Islamic person who goes around on a murderous rampage. But then when we learn more about the true meaning of it from the perspective of the Prophet Muhammad, Muhammad is not saying go out and slay infidels, other people. He is saying go within yourself and slay your ego, because ego is edging God out. And in Islam they call God Allah. It's the same thing in Anishinaabe. Wouldn't it be in English when you say that what that means in English? It's Great Spirit, God, the divinity, the sacred. The boss, the ultimate boss of all that is. Great Spirit, I would say. I would say in the end, Great Spirit is the ultimate boss of what goes on here. So, when you're in Ho'oponopono and you're speaking your truth, you got to remember that your boss is right there. Great Spirit is right here in this room with me, witnessing what I say. So, Great Spirit is where you are, and where that guy is in Australia, and where that guy is on Mars, and where that guy is on Barnard's star, or, some pulsar at the other end of the universe. Great Spirit is there too, the same Great Spirit. So when you're speaking filthy lies about shit, Great Spirit is the one watching you and witnessing you being evil, knowing that Great Spirit is right there. So this is really you being a Lucifer at 190 on the scale of human consciousness, the low end. The height of evil, 199. It's dumb to be evil, because there's way more consciousness with Wayne Gretzky getting the Conn Smythe Trophy at 900. On the scale of human consciousness, David Hawkins, I don't know, I can't help you out. I'm just going to do my version, okay? Because he propagated this and he's got all his stuff, but that is still David Hawkins' version. In my version, the scale of human consciousness goes from 1 to 1,000. 1 is the consciousness of an amoeba, a single cell organism that you might find in pond water or river water, and you go to the high school biology lab and use a light microscope, and you just get your slide right with pond water, and you just focus it in, and you can focus it in and see amoeba and paramecium, because we did that at Sir Winston Churchill High School in Thunder Bay a long time ago before they tore it down. And I was there. So that thing, that little organism, that little teeny tiny thing, that's 1 on the scale of human consciousness. 1,000 is the highest that the human body can hold. The highest amount of light it can hold, because apparently that's limited as the amount of light it can hold as what we call the current design of it. And the people who max out are Jesus, Buddha, Zoroaster, what they would call avatars of God. At the bottom end, under 200, it's called force. In other words, putting a gun to somebody's head to make them do something. The top of that over 200 is going into higher and higher power, which is your innate soul. And soul is an extension of God. But it's you, because it's soul. So if you're an egoic person at the bottom end of the scale of human consciousness, they call it the devil because it's stupid and evil and self-centered. Service to self, they call it in Law of One teachings. It's really, in the end, David Hawkins said, your ego will kill you because you hold on to that foreign thing that's not God as if it's God for you. Maybe it's your addiction to booze or your addiction to meat. Or your addiction to gang stalking. Or your addiction to drama. Or your addiction to psychological thrillers. Or your addiction to your monkey mind. And your refusenic attitude to dropping into your heart out of your evil monkey mind. Because that is the way. If you are an incorrigible devil, that is the way you leave devilry, is you leave your head and you go into your heart. And are you going to kill with that heart? Or are you going to love with that heart? Are you going to pick up a gun or a big sword, a St. George, and kill that thing that you think is a dragon? But you're Chakotay, and you're hypnotized in some psychosis, and you're about to kill Tuvok. Because we saw that in Star Trek Voyager. Or maybe it was Tuvok. It was Tuvok and Chakotay. One of the two thought the other was, but wasn't. The enemy. And clearly they're not enemies, but one of the two of them. The ego was so strong, saw this other officer. They're both officers on Starship Voyager. But in this scene, one of the two wants to kill the other one. And then finally, whoever it was who was like the vicious, violent one, finally woke up from, I don't know, a trance state. They were entranced in some kind of mental, narcissistic, psychotic, psychopathic, sociopathic fantasy land that was going on that took over their whole reality box. And they started seeing, it's a Luciferian inversion, where right is left and up is down. Illustrated by this dystopian novel 1984 by George Orwell. And you can also see that movie. We don't want that nightmare. And that's what we're leaving. That's the old Earth. New Earth, 5D Earth. Harmony and understanding. The song Age of Aquarius by the Fifth Dimension. So go listen to that one. And listen to Paper Cup. So, okay, as a consigliere, I've heard your story. Okay, my name is Bobby Burrows. I'm this. I understand. We're under siege. I can feel it. Because I can feel it. Because it's affecting my ability to talk. So where we are now is in the castle keep. They showed us this in the Lord of the Rings movie, where was the enormous attack by the evil forces. There was a fortress, and the fortress had multiple layers of defense, but the final place was the safe room, called the castle keep. And that's where we are. So, if they break through the castle keep, then we're face to face, hand to hand combat. You're Al Pacino playing Scarface. I think of your bullets. I think of your bullets. More cocaine. I think of your bullets. And he's riddled with bullets. And he's still going pure coke rage, but then he's dead. So as a consigliere, we bring it all back to the rope. All these different threads, loose threads, loose thread ends, and we got to come and bring them into the rope so we all see exactly what's in this rope. All these threads of the story together, and you put them together as the rope, and you can see them all as one thing, the rope. Now, you don't want this rope to be the rope attached to the gallows pole around your neck. You don't want that rope to be wrapped around your neck because you've been in an enormous sting operation where they gave you enough rope to hang yourself. Tony Soprano, this is the biggest anxiety worry you have about being in the crime business. But the flip side is, as you know, if you leave the crime business, somebody else is going to fill that niche. So then when you become a civilian, you got the new guy. And you don't care that you used to be the old guy because you're on the outs now. And the new guy's come in for his protection racket money. So it just keeps on going on. So Tony Soprano is between a rock and a hard place. It's like, what exit do I have, doctor? And the doctor says, well, Tony, I can give you these, these pills. And then, Tony's going to go, I've been through this racket before, doc. The pills don't work. They really don't make the problem go away. Maybe even they can drug me and make me to sleep, but the truth of the matter is, even those intense tranquilizers, on those nights when I can't sleep, I can pop tranquilize a whole bottle, and I don't overdose and die. It's nothing. It's nothing. They don't work. They're placebo pills, and I know it. So I got to deal with my reality. And so as the consigliere goes, okay, Tony, so what are you going to do about this situation? You got to plug this hole, Tony, because if you leave the crime business, then you got to make sure that there's nobody else that can possibly get into that niche of being at under 200 on the scale of human consciousness. Tony. There are no words. Words are no good. We have to breathe through this, Tony. Right now, this is a meditation. This is what we do. We're not waiting until tonight or tomorrow and think about it later on or come back and see me. No, right now, Tony. You and I are going to do meditation and being with this reality the way it is, as it's presented to us, the stuff we can see, the stuff we can't see, and the stuff that we can guess might be going on, whether we got paranoia or pronoia, all of this stuff. And then we got to be breathing through this heavy, 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 what we would call, Lee Harris energy on YouTube would call heavy, heavy energy. A lot of light workers would say this is old energy being released from the whole planetary sphere because we're letting go of this old shit. And to do that, we have to be here now, like Ram Dass told us. Be here now, and just be here and sit with it as it, because it's in consciousness. We think it's physical, but that's spiritual physical, which means that we as spirits affect our reality. We create our own reality, and we got a big fucking mess. So I'm going to be here as a consigliere, and I'm going to be your yoga guy. I don't want to be this guy. I don't want to do this stuff, but right now, in this moment, Tony, for the sake of this, right in my moment, I will be the one who just say, I'm going to do it. And if you want to join in or not, it's up to you, but it might help your breathing if you're having a hard time breathing to know that right in this now moment, the consigliere is also feeling the very heavy energy, and it even affected the throat chakra at the beginning of this video. Because that energy is so heavy, it can grab your chakras and cause you and then what you got to do is you got to do a lot of this. Taking time out from, stop everything else. Drop everything. Because your body needs you right now. Because the body feels all this heavy, crazy energy. And the body can deal with it, but you got to let the body deal with this thing. I don't care if the wolves are at Castle Keep and they're banging on the door. I don't care. Stillness is what our focus is. The breath. And maybe witnessing very strong thoughts and emotions that are coming up in you, very strong. You would call it high anxiety. Your wife would call it fear. And what appears to you perhaps as very scary situations and very scary futures and very scary, Tony Soprano, you as a gangster being outed and then actually killed off or tortured yourself. And knowing that even if you try and go straight, somebody else is going to play Tony Soprano after you leave. So you can't leave. You're like Fat Tony Salerno in The Simpsons. So there's lots of different people who are in these kind of situations. Gus Fring and Better Call Saul. So the spiritual solution to every problem, Deepak Chopra might say, is more consciousness. You get more consciousness by raising your consciousness. Now, you and I, Tony Soprano, we're not Wayne Gretzky, but if we had a bag of equipment, we could go and rent some ice. The boys get this, we'll get a stick. I don't know if you can skate or not. If you can't skate, what you get is a wooden chair. A chair like this, Tony. A chair like this, and you bring the whole chair onto the ice, Tony. And then you use the chair as your walker. So you got something to hold on to while you're skating out there. And if you can skate, then you could bring out a hockey puck. We could rent the ice for 3 hours. Just skate around and get off the ice, have a cup of coffee. Guy Lafleur, the flower. Guy Lafleur, the star of the Montreal Canadiens. Stanley Cup winners in the 1970s, the Montreal Dynasty team, Guy Lafleur. Guy Lafleur liked his nicotine tobacco cigarettes. And even in those days when they told us kids, don't smoke, because it's bad for your health and it's bad for your wind, bad for your lungs. Well, Guy Lafleur said, fuck you, Farley, because he would go skate around full blast for a shift. He'd go off shift, and then he would go He wouldn't go to the bench and sit down. He'd go into the hallway, into the dressing room, and he had a deck of cigarettes there. And he'd have a cigarette, eat a real cigarette, while he's still in uniform, full of sweat. Just anybody else would be panting, but not the flower. And he would have a cigarette. And then he would go back on the ice and he'd score another goal. And he'd go back and have another cigarette. Superstar. Wayne Gretzky quality. Guy Lafleur of the Montreal Canadiens. So, he proves that cigarette smoking doesn't limit your lung capacity. And as far as long-term use and all this shit, that's like negative prayers and negative beliefs, in my opinion, and bullshit. Government fucking bullshit to tell you what to do and not to do. Because the same government puts enormous tobacco warnings on Canadian tobacco product. You know, nothing but warnings. That's the name of the cigarette. There's no nice marketing on it. But, you know, if that's a big fucking deal, and I just said it's bullshit, I don't care if you say Guy Lafleur died or whatever, fuck off. Because he was still brainwashed back in those days because he was a muggle. And Tony, what we're doing is we're learning how to drop the muggle game that Harry Potter tells you. You got to raise in consciousness. The spiritual solution to everything is more consciousness. You get more consciousness by breathing through this heavy energy. You're in the castle keep. And if you feel fear, then just be willing to be with that fear, that anxiety. Because that's what we call inner alchemy. The body and you stepping back and allowing the body to process the energy that you feel is high anxiety energy. You just got to be with it in meditation. And if you don't want to sit here, then we'll go strap on the skates and we'll go to the hockey rink and we'll rent it. And maybe we'll just go to the stands and we'll buy coffee. And we'll drink coffee and smoke cigarettes in the stands for 3 hours. And just imagine that Guy Lafleur is out there and Wayne Gretzky are out there and it's Field of Dreams on that rink. And we'll use our imagination. And we'll think of all the hockey player names that we can think of. Tony Esposito, the Chicago Blackhawks, their famous goalie, and his famous brother of the Boston Bruins, Phil Esposito, number 7. Italian boys, Tony Soprano, superstars in the NHL. Italian boys can play hockey. They can. Hard to believe, from Southern European country. It's all hot down there in Italy. But you bring them to Canada, and those Italian boys turn into superstars. We can do this. Tony Soprano, John Gotti, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro. We can do this. Do what, Consigliere? But energy is very heavy, Tony Soprano. It's very heavy. As your consigliere, I feel it in my body. I feel the warmth of my heart. And this is how it is, Tony, for all of us. And those people out there banging down your door trying to get at you, Tony, it's the same thing, because they've got all this anxiety and fear too. And this is the release of all the old energies. Paul White Gold Eagle on Prime Disclosure channel on YouTube talks about it every day. Been news aggregator for Earth Ascension, where we're leaving the old 3D Earth of the Matrix that Keanu Reeves was in 2000. We said we don't want to do any more blue pilling. We all want to take the red pill because we want something better than that Matrix, that old same thing, Groundhog Day over and over again, where Tony Soprano is like, you're always feeling like I gotta be ready to kill anybody at any moment kind of thing. Or the gunslinger in the Dark Tower is like, everywhere I go, I gotta kill with my heart because that's an evil fucking thing. I'm sick of going to Fatick and having these more and more tunnels to more and more evil things. It's just endless for the gunslinger. So we've got to elevate our consciousness so we can have a better reality. When they always say we create our own consciousness, so we've got to create from higher levels on the scale of human consciousness. Just imagine if we were all in the flow state of 900, like Wayne Gretzky and Guy Lafleur, all the time. Well, in the Celestine Prophecy movie, Tony, they show you the escape from all of the fighting and the guns and the bullets and the knives is available to all of us. But we got to follow the path that they show you there in the Celestine Prophecy, and it's a path of love, real love, not fake love like Drake talks about in the song, because he's complaining about fake love. He wants real love. He wants the real black Jesus, because we heard about white Jesus and white man. We want the black Jesus, because it's time we had black Jesus as being the guy. Because I'm a white looking guy. I want my Jesus to be any kind of Jesus that is Jesus at 1,000 or higher on the scale of human consciousness. I want that guy. That guy can heal lepers. If he can heal lepers, he can heal John Gotti, the Teflon Don. And not by putting him 6 feet under, by healing the dragon rather than slaying the dragon, by being the consigliere for John Gotti. Just don't even worry about killing or not killing John. We're just going to be here in this energy, and this is not about taking action on those energies in the external world. That is us being here inside ourselves, in our bodies, feeling it all, feeling the fear, feeling the anxiety. And what we're doing about it is breathing, take a nap if you need to, go to the hockey rink and get some exercise if you want to, or just a change of scene, something that's new. Drinking water, or, well, I was drinking coffee, but not drinking booze and not doing no sniffy. You can smoke a joint, Tony, and listen to some Bob Marley, and you're going to hear Bob Marley complain about you, because he's going to give you that album Babylon by Boss, because he calls you Babylon, Tony Soprano and Gus Frink and John Gotti. Babylon, it's not God, it's the Antichrist. So we have to let go of the Antichrist mind, which is centered under 200 at the shit end of the scale of human consciousness. And we got to go for the Christ mind, which is the mind. How do they word it in the church? Brent Beeson, the devil is pacing, because he doesn't want me to say it, but it's to have the mind that is in Christ Jesus. So 1,000 at the scale of human consciousness. So we have to get serious about church, and we also have to ditch those parts of the church that are not modern. So, Tony, your cousin is queer, and he's a tough guy, and you think he's more than qualified to be a captain, but you won't make him captain because of your homophobia. And your homophobia, John Gotti, is rooted in your own homosexuality. Because Kurt Cobain, I don't know what year was that. Was it 1990? Over 30 years ago. What else can I say? Everyone is gay. So you might, all these disowned aspects of ourselves that admire the male form, compare dick pic sizes, bigger balls. I tell you, why do they call it NFL? Come on, it's just like open homosexuality among the color commentators. Forever and forever and forever. There's a position on the field called tight end. That's butt banging. Come on, he's the tight end, and the quarterback goes right up before the center and goes right up, underneath his balls and grabs his right underneath his ass and grabs almost his balls. He gets the ball, but it's the ball. It is very homo. I can't help you. It's all male out there. It's just like the priesthood. I won't tell you. It's just like it's right there, Tony. So what are you gonna say, Tony? It's the monkey-minded human. It wants to stick its dick in. What was that American Pie that and they showed that guy was Eugene Levy. Is like right there in the house. It's like the kid is like he's got a cherry pie. Here's my cherry pie, and it's not some broad or it's not some Twinkie boy. No, it's like a cherry pie. He bought it at the Winn-Dixie. He put it in the oven, or maybe he didn't put it in the oven, it'd be too hot, but I don't know. I don't know. So, as a consigliere, nothing to do with, people, they're not even banging on the doors anymore. But on this issue about your cousin, who you think is qualified, more than qualified to be a captain or the consigliere, you got to remember Tony Soprano. I identify as a queer guy. Tony. So your consigliere is telling you, if your cousin over there is qualified to be a captain and you're holding back because you've got self-loathing homophobia about yourself, Tony Soprano, then you got to own it, buddy. You got to just say, well, I am a self-loathing homosexual, and just say, that's what I am. Because you got to start with what you are. What you really are is a homophobe. And it's because you see those aspects of yourself, and you were told by the Catholic Church and society, that's gay or something, you're limp-wristed and you're weak or whatever. You got to own that, because that's the society collective energies. That's here, and I got to be with that. So So if you're holding on to that shit about yourself, and then you're taking it out on your cousin, who's already dealt with his own internal homophobia, and is a what do we call it? Post-gay. And I'm your consigliere. And I'm here. And there's still more of this heavy energy. Because usually the energy for me, Tony, it starts in my belly. I feel like queasy in my belly. Uncomfortableness in my belly. These low vibe energies that are the ones that are fear itself, labeled fear, under 200, and under Satan, below there's a level called fear. And that's the level of the mouse. When the mouse knows there's a predator, there's an owl that's already seen it, and the bull knows it's done for, because it doesn't have enough time to run away from it. Well, I don't know. That's like, fight or flight or something. So, I mean, this is animal. This is old animal energies from past lives when we're told that we had lifetimes as animals. So, as a mouse, a past life of you, Tony Soprano, and a past life of me, Bobby Burrows, where we were mice, and another past life where we were the owl that was hungry and we ate ourselves. Me as the owl ate myself as the vole's little mouse. We play both parts according to the teachings. So nobody wants that anymore. Nobody wants to go back to playing the vole and the sickening knowing that it's about to go through the most horrific experience of being eaten alive by an owl. Or the disgusting republic. The repugnant republic. You being that owl with that disgusting beak, and you having to go down and with your claws grab that little mouse, and then, whether it's dead or alive, using this disgusting beak thing to peck into that little mouse, to try and get your stupid beaky mouth to try and eat this animal meat that's not cooked. So you're trying to eat raw meat with a beak, a hard beak, trying to eat meat, because that's what you have to do in order to survive. You gotta eat this goddamn stuff. But you as a human, I mean, seriously, I don't know. That's not sushi, because that's not easy to eat. This is like you taking a long time to use this stupid beak thing to try and eat this uncooked, even chopped up into little pieces with a knife, bite-sized pieces. No, it's a solid vole. You could be like a snake and gobble it down whole. Anyways, these are all past lives, and seriously, I really don't want to spend a lifetime in animal lives, because the most horrifying thing is being that vole and being eaten by that beaked thing while you're still in that body and you're feeling this gross feeling in, wherever the soft spot is in your soft underbelly, and its beak is in there. And you're still alive, and some shocking feelings that are going through your body because your nervous system is still active and it's reporting on the eating of you by this other version of you in another lifetime. This disgusting owly bird eating you alive. Anyways, I don't have too much more emotion with that. That seems to have lost its emotion, but still, the verbal description is the truth, Tony Soprano. So as the Consigliere, we're going to bring it back. Okay. Now, you're the golfer. Where do you want to hit the ball, Tony? Because where you hit the ball determines where your next golf shot is. You got to get out of the matrix, Tony Soprano, by doing red pill. No more blue pill crime and gang stalking and boozing and lying and perpetrating the mainstream news, fake news, as a reality onto the people in your community. Tony Soprano, you gotta become Hector from Longmire, the character portrayed by Lou Diamond Phillips. That exact guy doing that exact job, Tony Soprano. Because you gotta be the enforcer that no more Tony Sopranos ever happen again. Because you are Tony Soprano, and you come to the conclusion that the world does not need Tony Sopranos. In fact, it needs to prevent any more Tony Sopranos from ever establishing an empire here on planet Earth or anywhere else in the universe. And now you become truly onward Christian soldier, because you become a soldier of Christ. Not about Tony Soprano and enlarging his egoic empire. Because you heard from Trent Reznor, Nine Inch Nails, Johnny Cash, the song Hurt. You can't take it with you is what they always say. Because if you're on the low level of consciousness at 150, where you're the killer, Satan, where you're Jimmy Steele, Brent Beeson, Dr. Atkinson, King Clancy, Rumpelstiltskin, Ede the Rat, Edith Prem, names of devils that bedeviled me. Well, I'm the Consigliere, and I'm telling you, your next golf shot is going to determine, your future life. And Tony Soprano, the elephant in the room with you and the psychiatrist again. How do you want to deal with your life as it is? Do you want to hit your next golf shot? Get heavy energy in my purse. I'm feeling it right now. It's not bullets, Tony. It's not bullets, but it's Psychic Attack on Me by Brent Beeson and the Beeson Brothers crime gang. So, there's lots of other gangs. We tried the Syndicate. They showed that in a piece of the action in Star Trek original series. We have to become our higher dimensional selves, our soul, the soul that rejects killing others, that rejects killing animals for food. The advancing consciousness, advancing up the scale of human consciousness. So we can have a better future. So we can have heaven on earth. So, coffee and cigarettes, no booze, no meat. Be with the energy right here as it is, tough as it all is. Breathe and understand. For me, I get all of this stuff in my tummy. But over time, these feelings in here move up the chakra system, out of the lower chakras, the animal chakras, the body chakras. You still need them, absolutely. But these horrible feelings move up and they come to the heart. And inner alchemy happens, where these horrible feelings, once they get to the heart chakra disables them with love, higher dimensional love that you have in your heart. But what if you have heart pain? Well, then you have done something wrong. You have closed your heart chakra by using your monkey mind, and your monkey mind has told you close your heart. So you need to be like Bob Marley and smoke some weed and be authentic with what Bob is saying. Barb, one love. in the heart. It's the same love that's in Christ Jesus. That love. And being petty-minded and vicious-minded and being unwilling to speak the truth. I can't resonate with that shit. The truth is the truth is the truth, and I am the truth is what Jesus Christ said. And he taught us the same thing, for us to say the same thing for our heart chakra. I am the truth. I am the resurrection. So it means no more lies. When you put that in your heart and you drop out of your monkey-minded head into your heart, and you connect up your heart with the real Jesus, Jesus Christ, the real one, the real one. And you connect up with his God, which is Great Spirit, which is real God. That's what I do. Yeah, it's out pictures as people hating on me, because clearly if I am one with the mind of Christ Jesus, and if you're against me, then you are the Antichrist. And it's not funny. This is not some movie. This is not some movie like The Omen 3 or something, or The Exorcist. This is real life, and this is experiencing that. So, more time to breathe in this energy to keep my vibration at 600 on the scale of human consciousness. Peace in the midst of absolute chaos, an absolute zombie apocalypse, an absolute everything. The apocalypse now, right now, Tony Soprano. It's not just you, it's the whole collective. The whole world has gone insane wearing these fucking masks for a non-existent disease. We're all brainwashed into believing these impossible to verify particles are real. They're so small that they got to make some technological dog and pony show bullshit thing. You got to give your power away to this idea that somehow an electron microscope can see something. Fuck off. I've already looked into it with Rumpelstiltskin. And we both came to say, well, he guided me and he said, look it, there is no evidence for viruses. It's all this fake news and bullshit. So anyways, you gotta follow the path, and you can read Kilnani. That's an interesting book for John Gotti, isn't it? Or somebody like that, famous mob bosses. Don Corleone. Kilnani. Her name is Rashmi Kilnani. Khilnani. So last name, first name is Rashmi, Rashmi. So this is the book for you folks. Hopefully that focuses in, you can see it. You can take a screenshot of that. The Divine Mother Speaks. Because you need this book in addition to I Am the Truth or whatever, because you're going to end up like, maybe it's not going to work for you, because you need no information to plug into your heart. This is the book. You need this one. Everybody needs this book, The Healing of the Human Heart. The Divine Mother Speaks by Rashmi Kilnani. You all need this book. Now, if you're in the poorhouse and you can't afford it, then what you do is you go in your Amazon app and you find this book, and then you select the Kindle version selector page, and then on the Kindle version selector page there is what's called free sample. Click on free sample and you'll get a good big chunk of this book for free. Read that if you can't afford to buy the book. Read it. Seriously. So it's absolutely free. And if you turn down free on the recommendation of the Consigliere while we were in the middle of fucking Armageddon, then I'm not your Consigliere. Because you don't listen to my wise advice and you're wasting my fucking time, Soprano. So you go back to your psychiatrist and you tell your psychiatrist to fuck right off for sending you to me, cocksucker, because you have no what? You got no cojones. You got no cojones, John Gotti. You got no cojones, gang stalker. You got no cojones. Because you got a big fucking mouth, but you don't back it up. And you got this bullshit idea that's still sticking down at 150 and warring and having endless mafia wars that went out with Al Capone in 1920 for fuck's sakes. So all this fucking bullshit about using high-tech warfare against civilians, fuck off. Because you're choosing the Old Testament of the Bible. And you're choosing it by being it. Acting like a devil to people, the intention to kill them and torture them and torment them forever. You fuck off because you picked your God, and your God is the Old Testament God, the vengeful God, vengeful, the punishing God that will put you in the lake of fucking fire forever because you chose that as your God and you worship the gun, Tony Soprano, motherfucker. So is my consigliere. I'm going to tell you. You've got to give this whole thing up. And the only way you can do it is the Keanu Reeves method shown to you in the Matrix movies. Love. Higher love. Higher consciousness. The way of the heart. The way of Jesus Christ. The true way. No bullshitting around. No bullshitting around and, going into the priest's office and farting. No. Keeping some things sacred. So you have a place that's still sacred for you. And if somebody farts in there, then, you go light some incense or something, or it's too much shit, well, home is where your hat is, then. And wherever you are, if you don't got a hat, then, if you still got a head, then, there's your hat. And that's where you are. You're home right here, in your heart. And this is your connection to Jesus no matter where you go, Tony. And, if the energy is tight, then it's the same for everybody. Because we need you to let go of the Antichrist mind. Let it go. And say, that's not me. I'm not the devil. And then you say what you're going to say. Because in the end, it's your free will choice whether you're going to choose to be a devil or to be a real Christ guy. And being willing to be the Christian soldier, to be the fist of God, but you got to let go of it being you doing vengeance. Because you got to let go of that. So you got to change your mindset. And I don't know how you ever do that because, in the end, Tony Soprano, Consigliere, Bobby Burrows, I was born a Muggle. You were born Muggle. We're all Muggles. And that is our initial DOS programming. Before Windows, there was DOS and the C prompt. And our original programming is that. Stands for, so every day you gotta polish your Buddha. You can't sit on your laurels and say, I talked to the priest 20 years ago. We had a couple of drinks, and we went and we did, cookies and blow and whatever. No, it means just like Alcoholics Anonymous, Tony. Every day. My name is Bobby Burrows, and I'm an alcoholic. Start with that, because at age 25, this Bobby Burrows is an alcoholic. Do I like 25? No. But at 25, Drunk Boy Bob. So, people change, Tony. And the way you feel about this, it's come to a head. Because this is the reality. Either we do the Course in Miracles with intention every day, or we do Eckhart Tolle's workbook every day, or we do the precepts of Reiki just for today. I will not worry. I do not worry. Just for today. I'm going to do my very best. Just for today. And there's 4 or 5 precepts. You can look them up on Google. That's the ones that come to mind. All of these things are path with heart. The path of love. The way of love. The mastery of love by Don Miguel Ruiz. There's a lot of these things, don't we? You put those things into your heart. You can be a heart-centered, true member of the being one in Christ, the Christ mind. And that Christ mind is just not a name. That Christ mind comes with stuff that they're gifts. They call them spiritual gifts. Maybe it's, I don't know. I hate to promise you any of the city powers, SIDDH superpowers, because they're not under your control. It really is God that comes through you. Even in the midst of the absolute Armageddon chaos of the torture of Bobby Burrows by electronic harassment, or Satan's version of it.